Hey everyone, Mark here, Jungle Jim's podcast. What's up to the Banana Bunch? Now that you're watching video too, listen. As you're getting to experience the growing pains as we shift into doing more video content. I know I've said that for the last couple of weeks, but just get used to it till the whole show is all video. But this week, we're talking all about sake, which is conveniently right behind me. And that's not all we have. We have like an aisle and a half of it. Let me steal this from Lucky out of frame. Here's my personal favorite. But we're trying a bunch of stuff this week, and we wanted to invite you in to do the demo with us. And you can also join us on Saturday, February 26th, 2022, from 1 to 3 p.m. here at the Fairfield location for our Sake to Me event. So in the meantime, enjoy the demonstration, subscribe to our YouTube channel here, subscribe to the Jungle Gyms podcast, subscribe to other things that you like, because that's how you show support for people. And you know what? If you've got time, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you're loving the show. All right. Here's the rest of the show. All right, everyone. So in the WJJI studio with me today is sommelier Michael B. And I've also got Jimmy B joining me again. And I'm Mark B. So there's a lot of B's happening today. Yeah. Too many B's. Well, so today, the reason I wanted you guys to come in, I know we've got the Sake to Me event coming up on the 26th here at Fairfield.
That's going to be from 1 to 3 in the beer and wine department. And we're going to have several really high-end sake experts joining us. Laura Landell from Vintage Distributors, Mary Horn, Director of Education for Heidelberg Distributing, and Joe Lefkin, Regional Sales Manager for Cutting Edge.
Amazing. So, yeah, it's quite the experience. I've heard at least two of those names repeatedly, so I'm excited about that. And I always say this, but this is me trying to be the avatar for the audience who my extensive knowledge of sake comes to the hot stuff they send you at Benihana, for example. And I know that's not the end-all, be-all, so...
It's not even the beginning.
So, I mean, I think we should just start. What is sake?
So sake is interesting. It's kind of a hybrid brewing experience. They use enzymes to break down koji rice a little bit to get the glucose released. Then they add water and yeast, and the yeast can be different. It varies, but each producer has their own yeast, kind of like bourbon, and you end up with the yeast eating the sugars released from the enzymes that break down the rice a little bit. And there you go. It ends up between 15 and 19% alcohol, which is a little bit higher than wine traditionally.
Wow.
But it's brewed, but also fermented.
Oh, baby. That was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a
start.
So it's more like a beer in a way, in a sense.
Well, no, it has the initial... Like beer has that same initial process, but then it goes through multiple stages that I'm not really cognizant of because I don't drink beer. Sorry, Ferg. And
internal drama.
It's called rice wine, and because after that initial molding process where the enzymes break down the rice, so the glucose is released, it's just like wine. Fermentation is yeast eating sugar and making alcohol.
So it kind of starts in the beer world of like a grain being broken down,
right,
and then transitions to more of a wine process.
Exactly right.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting. Okay.
I feel like I've heard a lot about that process here too, because I think that sort of sounds similar to what they were doing with the koji, with the soy. Then we talked to Sin Soy a few months back, if I'm not mistaken. They're like some of that soy process is very similar here. It's very interesting to me.
When you said koji, that made me think, so that's that specific mold that...
Well, no, that's the rice.
Okay, that's the type of rice.
The rice... There's different kinds of rice you can use, but like Yamada Shiniki, which we're going to talk about a little bit. But essentially, it's just rice mixed with enzymes. The enzymes start to break the rice down. That releases the glucose because there's no sugar released until you do that. So there's nothing to ferment. And then once that happens, add the yeast, and there we go. We're off and running.
And like you mentioned earlier, that if you just put rice in water, nothing's going to happen.
No, that's...
You need to get that process to open up the grains a little bit.
You have to have the start.
Okay. Very cool.
And
then,
when it comes to sake, the thing that differentiates the different sakes is how much of the outside of the rice grain you polish off, anywhere from 30% of it up to over 50%. And that just changes the flavor because the outside has a little bit of rougher flavors, umami flavors. And then if it gets closer to the pure rice, the daigenjo, that's the center of the rice kernel. The style of the sake changes. It becomes depending on what you add to it, what kind of yeast you use, anywhere from more floral to drier. I mean, you can make it anywhere from like lightly sweet to extra dry. But
Okay,
it's a
and that-
decision made by
cool.
the brewers.
And that's probably a lot of the expense comes from, like, the more rice you polish, the more time it takes to polish, the less physical thing you have to make something from. It gets
Exactly
more and more
right.
expensive because you're shaving off so much.
Exactly right.
Okay.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'm like, now I'm carb loading with it knowledge right now.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, and then I would say, like, why are we even doing this sake event? Is
That's a
sake
great
kind of
question.
misunderstood in America? I mean, I know it's been in America for many, many, many years,
Yeah.
and it still seems
Now,
a
most
little,
most Americans heard about sake. I believe this sincerely. Most Americans, when they're younger, they heard about sake because they watched a James Bond movie, and it's like, oh, sake should be served at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. It's like, BS. Most sake, good sake, is served chilled or over ice, or at least not at room temperature, and certainly not warm. Only the less expensive sake is served in a heated condition.
Is there a reason why they serve the less expensive sake in a heated way? Is that kind of
It's the only way you can choke it down.
and that's kind of what I was expecting too. Well, that made me want to roll into some of the sake etiquette too, because I know we all have different glasses on display here, and I know we've got a fairly traditional carafe and glass setup. Is there any rhyme or reason to the way that we should be drinking it? I have a wood cup, by the way. I'm really excited about that. As silly as that sounds, I'm a simple pleasures guy.
No. I mean, that's very nice. It's beautiful. When we're doing this tasting, we're going to be using traditional Western wine glasses.
Okay.
Because we want to get the bouquet. We want to get all the different characteristics of the sake, and we're not going to be serving warm sake. It's all going to be higher quality from the get-go. So
Sure.
we're not looking at trying to cover the entire gamut from like inexpensive warm sake to the most expensive. We're just going to focus on like the middle tier and up.
okay.
I'm into that too.
So this traditional sake cup is, again, the traditional way to drink it. But if you want to experience more of what's in there, all the flavors and stuff, these Western style wine glasses let you swirl the
Yeah, you'll
swirl
get the
sake.
you'll get the bouquet, you'll get the florals.
Okay.
I don't want to take a half-ounce sip of something. I don't mind having a little more in my glass.
So this provides a lot more experiential element, but
As
it
far
is
as I'm
a change
concerned,
from the
yes.
traditional way that sake is drank.
And there's nothing wrong with traditional sake carafes and cups. Nothing at all. In a high-end Japanese restaurant, I think that would be lovely. But also if I'm having like a $40 bottle of Junmai Daiginjo, I might ask for a wine glass.
Got it. Okay.
That's
we
really
have,
cool.
And we have two different styles of wine glasses. You were telling me that you prefer the.
I like the champagne flute because the aromas are very subtle on sake. It's not going to be like a knock you on your behind kind of thing, like a Moscato or an buttery oaky Chardonnay or something. So that focuses the bouquet. If you have a little bit of sake in your glass, that'll focus the bouquet. So you can get a really clear picture of what the sake is offering.
So small, yeah. So just for the audience listening, so the smaller the aperture of the top of the wine glass, the more you're focusing the bouquet of the wine, the smell
Exactly.
of the wine. That's a
Well,
ugly way to say
whatever
it.
you have in your glass.
It feels like there's a bit of a trade-off too, because I'm assuming with the wider opening there, I love that you used aperture, by the way. That made me so happy. But with the wider one, I'm assuming that allows maybe a little more development. Is that a correct? Did I learn enough from our previous wine session?
Well, and I will tell you, I'm not an expert on sake. I enjoy it. I know enough about it to be dangerous, but when it comes to wine, you
That's
need
the
to
Bond. We're back to
oxygenate the
James
wine. You
Bond
need to get some oxygen into it, and really just that swirling really opens up the different flavor compounds available in the wine.
Okay.
In sake, there's less of that to me, but I'm sure that one of the experts that's going to be here on the Sakatumi event on Saturday will clarify that for me.
Oh, that sounds
Probably
good.
with
We'll
a
make
foot up
sure.
my
We'll check
butt.
with Laura and Mary and everybody. I think
Yeah.
that should be a good idea.
So this one is basically no focusing because it actually opens the other way. This one is a lot of room here to it's almost maybe too much. We
I
might
feel
lose
like
some
the
of
wood
stuff.
one is more of an old school experience.
For sure. That's why we got them both. We'll be trying.
That's right.
Yeah,
From
I
both,
figure
see
I'm
the
going
difference.
full old school today.
Right.
So
But
I'm
you
Will
should have-
Ferrell
we don't-
screaming.
And we don't have a wine glass for you. Well, that would.
Oh, I actually have one. I took it out so I could be a little different from everybody
Okay,
else.
because you might want to compare them and be like, ooh. Okay.
Yeah,
cool,
that's what I was
great.
thinking. One last question, because I know we joked about this before we started, but there's a charming bucket on the table here. I've been to a few wine tastings with you now. Let's talk to the audience about that. So everybody that's not watching the video version, it's a large plastic bucket, but I think Mike, you can
It's just a
describe
dump
that.
bucket.
Okay.
It has a swirling area on top. You spit into it so it doesn't splash out, supposedly. And it's just for people to, if you're tasting a lot of different things, you do not want to like drink an entire bottle of wine 1 ounce at a time, trying different things. So it's a way to spit, expectorate, just some place to deposit the wine that you're not going to swallow that you tasted.
And I love that you're trying to be really polite about it. And I'm sitting here like, oh, the spittoon is having the best PR glow up of 2022.
So, but that's important though. If you do go to a wine tasting, you're just supposed to try the wine. You don't have to finish don't feel like you have to throw it back, finish the wine to get your next ounce.
We absolutely
pour.
have no desire to see somebody come in and get blasted. That's not the idea at all. It's a little bit of a learning experience, see what you like, and get a little bit of education and have fun.
Yeah, take a sip, say, I kind of like it, not sure, dump it. Boom, you move on to the next wine, the next table. So that way you can cover a lot of ground and you don't dull your senses. That's really what it's, well, other than getting drunk. But if you're there to taste, you don't dull your senses because you'll be shot after the first couple of tables.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what they call it, a tasting, not a party in a warehouse. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which,
All
if
true.
you want to do that too, that'll be next week's episode.
When the cameras go off, we'll have a party.
Yeah, right. So where would you recommend, I keep going. I feel
let
like.
me just
please.
interject.
How dare you?
Jimmy said, Jimmy said, what's the point of this? And the point is, we have the best sake selection, really, literally, in the state. I mean, I was
Maybe
talking
beyond, too.
to a sales rep, and they're one of the major distributors of sake in Ohio, and the 2 Jungle Gym stores sell a significant majority of all the sake sold in the state of Ohio for his company.
Pretty cool.
For his brand that he represents.
I've been hearing that over the years from many different people that our sake selection is just off the charts. So we are selling a lot of sake in the store. You do have an opportunity as a customer to experience sake that you're not going to find anywhere else. So we want to have these events to just keep educating people so they can take advantage of all this selection.
Mm-hmm. And Jungle Gyms was nice enough to host a sake training event, and TJ, Thomas Askren, Michael Schwartzman, Ferdinand Schneed, and myself all got certified from the Wine Spirits Education Trust in sake, just because it's an important part of what we do, and we all love what we do here, and just education is part of it.
So everyone knows about SOMs and all the wine certification, but there's a whole separate sake certification.
Well, yeah, the Wine Spirits Education Trust is based in London, and they're like, for like retail training, they're really kind of the top of the beer, wine, spirits pyramid.
Okay. So they have a sake section. Like
They have a specialized sake section.
Okay.
That's so cool.
And so we had some representatives or
Yeah, we had a
local
training person from the Wine Spirits Education Trust came to Cincinnati, and Jungle Gyms Eastgate hosted the training event, and we had 4 members of the team at Jungle Gyms, 2 at Eastgate, 2 at Fairfield, who got certified.
Were there other people? Was it open to the city? Anyone else?
Oh yeah, there was about 20 other wine
Okay,
professionals there from wholesalers and such that
Great.
were part of the education program who also got certified. Well,
Cool. If they
took
made
the training
cut.
class.
Okay. Cool.
That's really cool. I think that's fun because to me, Jungle Gyms is such an experiential store anyway. And I think it's fun to hear things like that. Is that, we're not just here to have fun, weird adventures, but there's like an educational angle too, which is kind of what I like about the show, right? That's why we're doing this, right? It wasn't so I could get blasted at 11 o'clock in the morning. Again, next week's episode. But I think that's so cool. I kind of want to start going to those classes now. I'm going to be the ultimate expert by the time I leave. This is really me.
Dilettante, ultimate dilettante.
Me coming to join the Jungle family was really just a trick to get you all to get me incredibly certified, and then, I'll disappear one day. All right, so on a more serious note, where would we start in this world?
Well, so there are 5 main styles, but about 7 different things you're looking for. The base sake. This is, if you're in Japan, most of the sake is this sake. It's futsushu.
Okay.
And this one you can serve warm or chilled. This is the only sake we have that's in that category for Futsushu.
Okay.
We have some it's even more base than this, and that's like Ozeki or Shochikobai base sake, and that's around I don't know, $9 a bottle.
Okay.
And that one I would serve warm. If somebody says they're looking for a sake served warm, it's easy to recommend that one because it's inexpensive and it's okay that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so
This is
a
like
step above. I'm sorry, to interrupt. This is like a little step above the Ozeki, like the basic Ozeki. This one we're trying. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Just
this is a
just
step
one
above
little,
basic
tiny
Ozeki.
little notch. Okay.
Yeah, Futsushu is like, if you're like talking Riesling, there's Qualistadt, and then Cabinet, then Spätlese and Auslese.
Right.
Well, this is like Cabinet version of Riesling. It's like or Qualistadt. It's the lowest rated
But it is rated.
sake that's
So-
rated.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so we have every style essentially at Jungle Gyms that's made. There's one style, Hakatsuru draft sake, and we have one that's just flash pasteurized. There's a version that's only sold in Japan, or you have to keep it refrigerated all the time,
Okay.
that we don't sell. It's like non-pasteurized, but that one has to be refrigerated at all times, and we don't have a refrigerator section.
Okay.
So that's really literally the only style of sake that we don't have on hand at any given time.
And then you did mention alcohol levels. These are all going to be about like drinking wine.
Well, these are going to be from 15% on the low end to 19% on the high end. So traditionally, table wine is in the 12.5%, 13% to maybe 15%. So this is like more comparable alcohol content-wise to port.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's because there's actually a style called Honjozo, which is fortified. They add about 10% alcohol, neutral grain
Okay.
spirit to it to kick up the alcohol level, and it actually reduces the cost of the sake in a way because you're increasing the volume and the alcohol content with spirits.
Okay. So a little more than wine, but nothing like. I mean, I feel like I've heard people say like, "Oh, sake's so strong, I can't handle it." No.
Well,
it's
that's
in
why
the
you don't
wine.
drink a lot of. That's why we have these little tiny glasses.
Cool.
Good
Okay.
point too.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, should we crack into
I
the
think we
first
should
one?
start drinking. Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit. That's going to
Okay.
get the ideas
Well, here,
flowing.
I like
Just-
it when your
just to give you an
employer
idea,
suggests you
let's
start
with,
drinking.
Futsushu from Tozai.
I think I am going to do the wine glass. It just feels more natural. Maybe I've got a little more of a wine background. It just feels, the wine glass feels good to me.
Thank you, sir.
We got it all going
I like the
on
sound
here.
of my wood cup. It's like kind of a nice little. Okay. So I'm like, all right, that smells familiar. That's my first thought here in my little glass. Like, again, I would say most of my my knowledge is around like Gekikan and Ozeki, like you said. So I'm like, oh, this kind of reminds me of that scent, but I'm not sure what I should be necessarily smelling for.
So it's mild, has soft florals.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's got a little bit of alcohol floating off the top, but there's also a little umami notes to it.
Oh.
You get a little baked bread, a little yeasty,
Okay.
maybe brioche.
Okay, I can see that a little bit. I definitely get, and I get that little spark of alcohol, like it's burning off the top a little bit.
Yeah, but it's not. You can see
Mild.
why this one would be okay if it was served warm.
Sure.
Because it's not like if you're heating up a sweet wine like some of the lightly sweet styles are. It's dryish and would pair well with sake. I mean, with sushi or nigiri.
Okay.
Whatever you like.
Okay. Yeah,
Cool.
that was my next question. Let's make sure we talk about what things pair with, because again, my goal for this thing, and probably for your course, which I won't be part of at all, is that customers can walk in and say, I was going to come in and get wine today, but why don't I just get some sake instead? So really, I want people to leave from listening to this feeling a little more comfortable just to pick up sake.
I'm glad you brought that up because we actually are pairing with the international department. They're setting up a food display with items designed to pair from Asia, from Japan and other parts of the world with what we're doing that day for the sake tasting.
Okay.
So we're going to have Japanese food selection by the international department on display on racks next to the
Okay.
sake that we're going to be pouring on the Saturday.
cool. So this, I guess, listening to this would be like a primer.
Exactly
to then come to that
right.
event, and you'd be
I
like,
could
okay.
not put it better
Okay.
myself.
So you'll be able to drink and try some of the snacks, or are they just available there?
Well, I think we're actually going to do that. Yeah,
Great.
we always set up kind of like if we do a wine tasting, we set up bread and cheese and charcuterie board. So we're going to do the same thing, but with an Asian twist because
Okay.
That's fun.
let's
So
try
I haven't
this.
drank.
Yeah,
yeah.
I haven't
Mark, yours is
tried it
gone.
yet.
Oh, you.
Smells good. Sake.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I'm just happy to be drinking sake.
It's just what you'd
Love it.
expect.
Yeah.
It just you can just feel a little bit of the alcohol floating off the top.
Yeah. It's got like a hint of sweetness there. I like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Okay, so I have
And
to
that's
ask. Oh,
that's
go ahead.
that's like a mid-teens version. That's like $17.99, I think.
Okay.
Right in that range.
Great.
Nice. That's a big bottle too. Okay, something I want to ask, and I meant to ask this before in our wine tasting segments too, but I saw you do it now. So, when you swish it in your mouth, what's the why there? Like why?
Why do I do that?
Yeah, and I would assume it's not just you. I feel like that's like an expert move.
Yeah.
It was like when I was first swirling beer around, the beer guys were like, "Yeah, you definitely should do that," and I was like, "Oh, it's not just to be fancy,
Yeah.
right?"
No. We're talking about aerating, and when you get a wine, you do that because you want to get some oxygen into it. And it's for this, I just want to get it to open up a little bit, see what it has to offer, see what parts of my palate impacts. Am I feeling acidity on the side to the back of my tongue, which I am?
Yeah.
Am I getting the alcohol like up into the back of my sinuses? Yes. Is there like a grainy finish? Yes. Just
Okay.
Just seeing if it's,
I've always been so curious, and I feel like my role here today is going to be more of so I'm afraid to ask this question when I'm at the event. So hopefully now everyone again has a primer for this actual event.
No,
I hope that nobody actually feels that way, but I'll
No.
take the first step. What can I
I'm
do?
telling you, the people who are going to be pouring there, I'll be there too, but the people from the wholesalers, this is the product that they specialize in and sell, they'll be able to answer any question and then some.
That's amazing. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so curious. I mean, I
They
feel
probably
like
guess your weight and age too.
that's cool too. I'm challenge accepted.
Country of origin.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna dye my hair a little bit then.
Because I think that's really important, the swishing, the swirling, and you said it great, but it's like we all know that the nose is one of the main components of taste.
Yeah.
It is the main component.
Okay, so it's the
Absolutely.
taste. So smell's the main component, and then you mentioned even in the high level sommelier experiences, they have 5 minutes to taste a wine, and most of that is smelling the wine.
Oh, it's the first thing you do is look at it, try to see if there's any obvious issues, like is there any dissolved CO2? What's the color around the meniscus, the rim of the glass? Is it cloudy? The color will tell you how old a wine is, what the varietal is, if it was aged in oak or not.
So the tasting is like, you get to the tasting at some point. So that whole idea.
You only taste it once, and the next thing is like checking the bouquet. Getting a feel for the flavors that are being offered. You can pick up almost everything you're going to taste if you have spend a little time on it. Then once you decided, what the wine's told you from visual inspection and nosing it, then you taste it. And the tasting is just to confirm what you were getting before. It might add something that you didn't pick up on the nose, or it might give you some kind of element that just tells you it's something entirely different. You're on the wrong track. Then you have a little bit of time to think about it, and there's your 5 minutes.
Yeah, pretty cool. So that's what that is. When you bring it in your mouth, you're aerating it again, and so you're wafting it up into your nasal passage. I know it doesn't sound very good, but
No, but it's
that's
part
why
of
they
the
do that.
process.
That's what that is about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. You said it, but I like to just really drive it home. I want people to know
Yeah.
that that's not something you do to be fancy. It's really a way to experience the product.
Yeah.
That's all.
I feel
pretty
like the fanciness kind of comes with it, right? Because when you become an expert on something, people who are not experts often,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that sounds like a good one.
You like that?
Yeah, I would like that a lot. Is that what we're trying to
Yeah,
around
since
to?
speaking of fancy. But yeah, it gets addicting. I mean, once you start experiencing the smell of a product, you just can't resist it.
Thank you, sir. All right, so what do we have next here that we
So-
just poured out?
This is a Hanjozo. This one has a little bit of 10% alcohol added to it. So this is, let's see, Funaguchi Namaginshu Original Gold Hanjozo. It's fun because it's a can, but you can see it's also clear. You might notice that unless it's barrel aged, sake tends to be clear. You know, there's such a thing as barrel aged sake, and we've had a couple of them, but I don't think we have any right now. I didn't actually look for one today because I wasn't gonna get in that direction. It's similar to, there's a style of Japanese liquor called shaojin, and it's kind of like sake with a beef bouillon sherry kind of note.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Kind of good, actually.
it is interesting.
That sounds.
What, does sake change color if it goes bad? Does it pick up any color? Like if it's
Well, I mean, if anything, when it oxidizes, will yellow a little bit.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you, I've never seen sake so damaged like
It
that.
actually changed color.
Yeah.
Okay. And then since we're talking about this, how long does sake last? This is different than wine. How long does sake last
That's a good
once you bring it
question.
home?
So sake, to me, sake is more like beer. We have like high end. We turn ours over like every week, and nothing lasts very long. But sake is, you don't want to age sake for 30 years like you would a high end wine, or 15 years like you would for a high end Chardonnay. Recommend drinking it, like kind of like beer within a certain brew date.
Okay. But even so, that's unopened, but open sake even will last.
Oh yeah, open sake, it doesn't have the oxidation issues that wine does.
Which
So
is
if you
great.
seal it and keep it in the refrigerator, I feel like 2 weeks would be fine.
Yeah, so wine is quick. 2 or 3 days, depending on your level of interest in watching the decline happen and want to experience that. But sake is great. A couple weeks in the fridge, you can keep working off of it. So
love
that's
it.
a big selling point to me.
Yeah, it really is. It's something I didn't even think about too.
So this has a much more intense floral bouquet,
Okay, there's a little more funk on this one. I feel like.
a little bit. This one really, yep.
What would that funk be? Do you think?
Well, I mean, it had alcohol added to it, and it's a different style.
Wow.
Let's see what it tastes like.
Sorry, I jumped in early.
No,
I'm
please.
excited.
I didn't see it, so it didn't count.
Sweeter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely get a little more of that alcohol taste.
It doesn't taste like Moscato, but it does taste lightly sweet with a silkier finish. This one's just softer all the way through, even though it's higher alcohol. And alcohol shows its sweetness on the palate. So the other one's about 15%. This one's 19.
Okay. This is nice, though. I could sip on this.
Yeah,
I could too.
I was, when I was smelling it at first, I was like, oh, this smells a little more dangerous. But it actually, like you said, it goes down very smooth.
This one is a little bit hot on the top of your tongue, like in the tip,
Yeah.
the front top of your tongue.
Yeah, a little zing on the edge there.
Yeah.
It's like electric.
That's a whole nother thing that we don't have to get into it, but the tongue has all these zones on it, and
Yeah.
it picks up different things. I mean, I don't know all that stuff, but
There's
I
a
know
whole
it's
different-
worth talking about.
Yeah,
at
there's
some
a whole
point.
different awful episode where it's just me laying my tongue in food products and describing
That's really good.
areas. That is really good.
And why is it in a can? Is there any significance of that one being in a can versus a bottle, or is that style always in a can? Or
No, that just happened to be. I didn't want to get one of the big. We do some larger bottles of Hanjozo.
okay,
We actually had a special on one back around Christmas time, like ordinarily $40, and we had it for like $19.99.
Okay.
We had like 3 cases of it.
cool, nice.
That's awesome.
So, and the price on that little guy, just for curiosity.
$9.99, $8.99.
Okay.
A little more intense, a little smaller package. I'm into it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Bring that.
I'm not going to open all these. I'm sorry, guys, but this is something that would be fun. This is nigori. And nigori sake is the one that a lot of people they look at it and they're like, "What's going on here? Let me pour it in your glass."
Oh, this
here."
was going to be my question. Is it an unfiltered one? Yes.
Well, there is no such thing as unfiltered sake. It's lightly filtered. Believe me, if it was unfiltered, it'd be sludge.
Oh, okay.
This is the way sake was made 200 years ago. There was no filtering process.
Okay, so they maybe let some of the stuff settle or something like that and did it that way. So a loose.
Yeah, so this is what you would have seen then. I like unfiltered or lightly filtered sake, nigori sake. It has a little more texture, has
Cool.
more bouquet, and it's for a regular sake a little bit sweeter and a little bit not sugary, but pretty, just across the board.
Yeah,
This is more an aperitif sake.
Oh, okay. Now you're talking my language. Say the A word.
one of my favorites. Oh.
You really get the rice on the finish on that one because the particles are still in there.
Really
Oh
good.
wow, yeah, absolutely.
You could drink. See, that looks like, what am I drinking here? But
Right.
in the end, it's
rice
really,
milk.
It's really
Yeah,
the nicest
yes.
one of the three.
I absolutely
Really
agree.
nice. Is there banana? I feel like sometimes I always say banana,
Exactly
but that
right.
tastes like
A little
really
tropical
nice
fruit.
Yeah,
tropical-
exactly. I was
Yep.
thinking like a little fruity something on the end, on
Mango,
the front end.
Yeah.
little mango, a little banana.
It's funny because I don't smell that as much as I taste it though, which is kind of interesting.
You would get more on this one
Yeah.
than you would on that one.
Okay. This is delicious. Okay, I think so far this is my favorite of the three we've tried. Not that
I don't think I've ever had. I think that's my first time I've had a nigori sake, believe it or not. But I know it's really popular and people really like
I
it.
think the last time I had sake this color, I was like 15 in Colorado and probably shouldn't have been drinking it.
Let's do a little.
Sorry,
bit.
Mom.
I'm gonna put
Just
a little
kidding.
bit
You were
in,
the one
just
that
swirl
fed it to me.
around, and then pour it in.
Gotta do the rinse, baby.
Something Lucky just mentioned off camera here, and since he doesn't have a mic, I'll just pretend like I thought of this. What can you talk at all about like the proper serving etiquette for this? I know we're kind of having fun with it today, but
Okay, so this is not an area of expertise for me,
that's okay. You can wing
particularly,
it.
but I will tell you that I know that when you go to like a very formal Japanese restaurant like Matsuya's, they have tatami dining, and they have very, very correct formal, like 2 hands on the cup, and you place it down, you make a certain turn so it's facing the person who you're serving. It's all very stylized, and if I knew more about it, I would share it, but it is part of the culture of sake,
Cool.
which is everywhere, like the different styles of sake range from peasant sake to aristocratic sake, and it's the same thing. We can have it as friends, like at a bar watching something, or we could have it as part of a very formal dinner with very precise traditions and customs.
I love that.
Cool.
I think that's so much fun about this too. I love that there's
I got a
all
little-
these all these like different aspects to it. Again, something that I find so interesting about, and this has been a big takeaway for me doing the show, is that there's so many things that kind of get overlooked in American culture because we're very much like point A, point B. And what I find so fascinating in these moments is that like there's a little bit of a mystique to it, right? Like there's some deeper meaning to why we're doing the things we are. And I'm kind of hoping that the audience picks up on that a little bit. And I'm hoping that we can kind of inject those things into our modern culture, slow it down a little bit. That's my post-COVID wokeness coming out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And we forgot to do this in the hot pot episode, but what should we be saying when we are drinking together?
Oh, that's a great question.
Kampai? That's the.
That sounds good.
Konnichiwa.
I think that's the. That is the.
I have the softest clink at the
Kampai.
table.
Kampai.
Kampai.
Right?
So this is
I think so.
Namazaki.
Just in case I'm wrong, I'm like, yes, Jimmy.
So the Hakutsuro draft is Namazaki style.
Okay.
And if I mentioned before, that's unpasteurized. This particular one is flash pasteurized. It has the shortest pasteurization you can have and still not have to be refrigerated. So this is like almost beer.
I was going to say, this one seems the least interesting, the least nuanced of all the ones we've tried.
Yep.
so far.
And it
I'm not-
is.
I'm not sure
It's-
we've gotten a
it's-
nuance, but
Well, it's low alcohol.
okay.
And it doesn't have anything in it. It's just like flash pasteurized and bottled.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's sort of, how shall I say in the nice way, flat maybe is a descriptor. It's like if you look at an EQ, that's how I'm visualizing it. I was like, okay, there's not a
Kinda.
lot of, but it's good.
Yeah, this
know,
is
Like after
like I
cutting
said,
the
this is-
grass kind of thing, like crack one of these open after cutting the grass and
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
drink it nice and
Refreshing,
cold.
quick, out of the
I love
way.
it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Cheers. Kampai, excuse me.
I hope I said that one right.
Well, if not, you can send us an email, podcast@junglegyms.com, and let us know how we said that wrong. We'd like to be correct and accurate and kind.
So
It's still good.
I just wanted to hit the highlights there. We tried Honjozo, which is a fortified sake, 10% alcohol added. We tried a nigori sake, which is lightly filtered. We tried a futsushu, which is a sake that can either be served with a little chill, room temperature, or warmed. And then a Hakatsura Namazaki sake, which is always served cold, which is like the lowest alcohol content and just very lightly pasteurized.
I love it. Now,
So, where was I going with this? Kind of lost my train of thought for a
we were
second.
always waving at customers, which is my
Yes.
favorite part about this. So I know it,
Yes.
and that's my me being here all the time. I'm like, all right, now I can wave and talk, but I know, but I'm explaining it for the audience. We love this, and so if you're a customer, please feel free to come wave, take pictures, whatever.
Right.
We want to educate all of you on this too.
Oh, yeah, get lucky.
Yeah,
So I guess in summing up a little bit, we're going to have all these kinds of sake and more. We're going to have 4 tables, 5 or 6 sakes at each table.
Okay.
It'll be from 1 to 3 p.m. on Saturday the 26th.
Love it.
Wristbands will be $10. We'll have Japanese snacks and food suggestions. We'll have a little bit of sushi roll. We're gonna have the door to the fine wine cellar open. That's where it'll be all in that area right next to the cellar, and it'll be the most fun you can have with your clothes on.
challenge accepted again.
That sounds great.
I wanted to ask you a quick question because I saw us playing with the purple bottle, and since
Yeah.
I
Did
am
we not drink
secretly
it?
10 years old,
did we
I
not-
did open it
Oh, well,
while you
let's
were
do it.
talking because I
This
wanted.
is the highest expression of sake, Junmai Daiginjo.
Oh, okay.
cool. That was going to be my next question. So, all right, great.
Which that is? Are we talking polished at this point? This polished?
Has the most polish on the outside. It has no spirits added, no brewer's alcohol. It's just koji rice, water, and yeast.
Okay.
Simple.
And this is served lightly chilled. And this is one that I forgot because Jimmy opened it,
Yeah, well, you were talking.
For me, I
figured I'd
appreciate
keep that moving.
and we had it set off to the side.
I'm into that. This one smells fun.
And then a lot of times when I go get sushi, I'll bring the bottle of sake with me at the place I always go. I
Yeah.
don't know. So you can certainly do that. I don't know what you pick, but I get usually a basic one, maybe a step above this one, and just keep it simple.
Sure.
Well, Junmai or a Ginjo, this all Junmai Daiginjo means is pure rice and 50% of the rice kernel polished down and no additional alcohol added.
Okay.
Just your clinking tables.
Now, this is nice, very complex but subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has a nice long finish. It's rich on the palate.
Yeah, kind
Good
of.
acidity.
It stays
Yeah.
I mean, it
around.
could, but this is a nice. This is a nice bottle.
So
this is
acidity,
a
that's
half-size bottle, and it's about $20.
Okay.
It's got that kind of like floral, fruity smell too, which I
Exactly
really like
right.
about that. It was funny because I was joking to myself that I saw a purple bottle. I'm like, oh, it almost has a bit of like a grapey kind of flavor to it, or scent to it rather.
This you mentioned
Yeah,
one of
where
the
does that
other
acidity
sakes
come
had a
from?
little bit of a tropical note to it.
Right. Mhm.
This had that tropical note, but it's less pronounced and it has a longer finish. Just
Yeah.
kind of like continues to evolve a little bit after you take a sip of it.
Sure.
Yeah,
You
it's
mentioned.
oh, sorry. No, please.
No, you mentioned acidity. Where does acidity come from when we're talking about rice?
So you can acidify things. You can add a little acid, or it's a natural component of the items being fermented.
Okay.
In this case, that's what you're looking
Okay.
at. As
It's
far as
coming
I
through
know, there's no allowance for acidifying sake,
Okay. Well, thank God.
and it's low acid, but it's still there. If it didn't have any acid, you'd be in serious trouble.
Yeah, it's really, really smooth. I think this is like, again, I know I'm speaking somewhat from a place of ignorance, but it's probably the smoothest thing I think we've tasted today. And I love, the lengthy finish on it. It's kind of impressive. I mean, it's really lingering.
And so, stupid stuff, but so the sake is a section within the beer and wine department. So we've got
Correct.
aisle after aisle. We've got
Oh,
a
yeah.
closeout section. We've got the fine wine section, the cellar. We've got the California wines, all this stuff. There is a section of the department that's just all the sake and
Yes.
and so maybe the soju and stuff like that.
When you're, let's see, aisle. Don't hold me.
But
to
at
this.
both stores, there's a dedicated.
Absolutely, an island at least.
I think it's aisle 9.
Okay.
And one side, one half of the section, actually 2/3 is sake, and 1/3 is soju. Soju is spirits, and that's typically Korean. We also have a little shochu, which is
Okay.
the Japanese version of soju.
Oh,
Okay.
We have every single style available right there. We have about 8 flavors of soju, and then classic unflavored, also in Japanese and Korean style.
Okay.
that's beautiful.
I don't know. Yeah.
I thought of a question. All right, so this is a higher end one. Is there some, and I feel like this is such a Jungle Gyms thing, is there some absurdly over the top sake that we've got in the building?
Good question.
No, as a matter of fact, I think the most expensive sake we have for a standard size bottle is about $44.
Oh, okay. Is there, maybe the way I should word this is does that product even exist? Is there
Oh
some
yeah,
like
barrel aged sake.
oh, okay.
I'm not sure if anybody is carrying it. They offer us everything because that's our thing. I've seen barrel aged sake maybe once or twice, but I don't think we have any in the house right now.
Okay.
But
So it does exist.
I'm sure Jungle's listening, so I'm gonna have to go find out if there's any available.
Jungle,
Yeah.
we'll bring him in for the next
Try
tasting
some.
too.
But in general, maybe sake, wine has these soaring prices and all this stuff. And
Yep.
great wines are considered to be so expensive, but maybe you can have great sake that you don't have to spend a
Oh
fortune on.
no, sake is still a great value, but it's because it's made, like we said, it's made in a very simple process. It doesn't require 4 years of aging and $2,000 a pop French
yeah,
oak.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
okay.
a lot of the cost involved with wine is because the grapes cost so much to grow, and the barrels cost so much that you age the wine in, and
Okay.
this is. Imagine paying $40 for 2 cans of beer.
Right.
That's about what you're looking at price point wise and volume wise, for sake, for the most
Okay.
expensive sake. It's
Okay.
still
Yeah.
expensive considering how it's made and how long it takes to make in the process.
Right. But as an option, it's a very accessible option price wise to
Very,
drink,
very
and it's very
accessible.
enjoyable, and it goes with all
as
kinds
we've
of
just
stuff.
experienced today, it's completely versatile.
Yeah.
Anything from just like popping open a draft sake, like enjoying that on its own really quick, to really savoring a nigori sake or junmai daiginjo sake with a meal.
And there's one at the Eastgate store. I think we carry it here though too. That they were saying this one would be great with a steak.
We actually have that one here too. Yeah, it's got a picture of a cow on it. It's called cowboy sake.
Yeah.
It's made in
Good
It's made
marketing.
in Japan. It's a very dry style daiginjo.
I mean, it's a little expensive, 40, whatever, 38.
That's the $45 one.
But it's great, and you would never think to drink
Yeah.
it with red meat. And
No.
it's fantastic.
Now
so
I'm
there's
like
so
sitting
much
here-
versatility. Yeah, that's the best thing about it.
Well, even just, again, for someone like me who really had not very much knowledge in this at all, just noticing in the couple that we tried today how wide a variance there was in the taste, the scent, everything. And now I really want to try the cowboy sake. I feel like that'd be great
Yeah.
with steak.
It's good.
All right.
It's good.
I'm here. I'll bring in some A5 Wagyu. We'll get wild with it, boys. It'll
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah.
This is secretly just so we can feed each other on the show all
Why
the
not?
time. The audience will learn, but that's
So
awesome.
cool. Is there anything else? I don't know. What
Yeah,
else?
any big ones, Michael? Anything else? I know we
Well,
plugged the event.
I do have to mention some other event upcoming just real quick. We've got our Wednesday night Back That Glass Up next Wednesday night from 5 to 8 at both stores. We've got Pint Night every Friday night. And we also have a Jungle Gyms beer that Ferdinand Schneid's been working on. It'll be the second edition of a specially brewed beer. I think it's mole, right?
Yes,
what I
we
heard. I
actually.
listened
So
today.
Funny enough, yeah, that episode just came out. So
Beautiful.
I'm
So there we
calling it.
go.
I'm secretly calling it Holy Mole.
Holy mole.
I don't know if they agreed with my name or not, but we'll find out. But that comes out on that's Friday the 25th, right?
Right.
So we're gonna have a very jungle themed weekend.
Very busy weekend.
I'm excited.
All right.
Beautiful. Thanks for your time, Michael. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
my pleasure.
Hey, Jimmy, thank you for coming down too. I
was
always love
great.
having you do these things too.
Thanks for inviting me in. I'm glad to help and talk and learn. I love it too.
Well, I think it's fun.
We should do this every Wednesday.
We should.
Oh, that would be fun. I'd be into that, guys.
Well, we'll talk
Wine
about it off air.
Wednesdays.
Or, you know what, if you all have a suggestion or some request that you'd like us to cover, I would love to invite these gentlemen back in, of course. Hit me up, podcast@junglegyms.com, or if you want to have your voice heard, I'll put it on the show. Country code 1, area code 513, rest of the numbers 674-6855. Leave me a voicemail. And gentlemen, I'll drink to that.
Cheers.
Mine's gone.
Such an underwhelming, it's like thud.